It looks like we're one step closer to Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier fighting each other this June. Islam doing an interview with MMA Junkie. I'm going to talk about that in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So Mike Bond did a really good interview here with Islam Makhachev. Islam doesn't do a lot of media, so this is a really good get for Bond. You see the views. Everyone's into it. You can't see it because the logo's covering it, but like 218,000 views. Islam, doing some media here, which is great. I would love to see him do more media, but they brought up the topic of Dustin Poirier fighting Islam Makhachev because, of course, there's that card in the Middle East in June. There's also a pay-per-view, which we don't know where they're going to be going in June as well. That's the June first card as well, which doesn't have a date. I'm assuming they mean the fight night card, but Islam needs to fight. We want to see him more active. There's a lot of reasons why that hasn't happened. We'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. But first, let's hear from Islam talking about the possibility of Dustin Poirier fighting him next.
Like to fight in June and against Dustin Poirier after his win. Is that what you're hoping for right now?
Yeah, because I know Dustin, it's not deserve the title fight, but we don't have any option right now.
Yeah, you know what? I like what he said here. Dustin doesn't deserve the shot, but we don't have anyone available right now. He's 100% right. And I think it was good that he brought this up because fans would criticize him for saying, oh, you're taking easier opponents or whatever. And we'll, again, talk about that a little bit later here. But good on him for starting out mentioning that, because I think people, nothing's more annoying than when you hear a fighter say something and they're lying or they don't really believe what they're saying. Islam is well aware of the optics of this. Poirier does not necessarily deserve this, but again, timing is everything.
Busy, but I want to fight. I want to fight like 3 times in the year. That's why I just have to call someone. And Poirier is free now, and he showed like excellent performance and scored the beautiful knockout. That's why he's free now. He's healthy, and I asked him to fight in June, maybe.
Yeah, and you kind of said it there, like you just want to set something for June, right? Because you don't think any of those winners from UFC 300 will be able to fight 2 months later.
Yeah, I think it's no one gonna be ready, but maybe someone will be ready. But I have to fight. I don't care, and I'm healthy now. I'm training every day, and I need someone.
Yeah, of course. And Dustin Poirier, obviously, a big name. Did you think he was gonna? Yeah. Did you think he was gonna win that fight?
He beat a lot of tough guy. He's a legend, And the fight with him, it's gonna be good for me, for the history, for the everything. He's a legend. He beat a lot of tough guys, and he's a tough opponent too. He have good guillotine.
Yeah, he said the other day he was going to guillotine you if you guys fight, but he's never won with it, but he likes doing it. Were you surprised he kept going for it?
Not me, but I hope one day he will finish someone.
How do you think a fight between you two goes if it does happen?
Same things. I will take him down. He will try to give him guillotine, and I will take his back and choke him. That's it.
Yeah, I happen to agree with that. And we'll talk about the fight later in a second here. But let's look at Poirier. Big win in his last fight over Benoit Saint-Denis. Again, timing is everything in this sport. It's not necessarily merit. I look at this fight sort of two ways if it doesn't end up happening. Again, nothing's set in stone, but you've got Poirier who wants the fight. You got Islam who wants the fight. The UFC, again, is always trying to fill up these cards. It's pretty much, set in stone that they could do that fight in June. I don't see a reason why they couldn't. But I kind of look at this fight two different ways. So in the first, the first way I look at this fight is let's just do the fight. Okay. Islam wants to fight. What's the big complaint with Islam? He's got to fight more. We want to see him more active. Okay. Well, this is a good opportunity for him to be active. Dustin Poirier is exciting. Dustin Poirier has also been a long-servicing member of the UFC. You have to go all the way back to his fight against Josh Grisby at UFC 125 in January 2011. That's how long he's been in the promotion. And then if you go back to the WEC days, even a year before that. So he's been under the Zuffa banner since 2010. I like the UFC rewarding fighters for their years of service. I know some fans won't agree with that. It's a lot of newer fans, by the way, who don't agree with that. They don't understand the history, but I like to see fighters that have put their time in, put on exciting fights, get rewarded for things. What I don't like seeing is what they did with Tony Ferguson. They're like, hey, we're going to give you Paddy Pimblett so Paddy can get kind of an easy, like a cheap win, not an easy win, but like sort of and I say cheap win because Ferguson's not what he used to be, right? So I like to see, the opposite end of things where a guy like Poirier maybe doesn't deserve the title shot here, but he also I think he's put in his time. He's put in his dues. And how about the fact that he fought Saint Denis in his last fight? What did he have to gain from that fight? Very little. Saint Denis was an up and comer. He hadn't had any good wins. Yes, he's a ranked opponent, but Poirier was close to title contention prior to him fighting Gaethje. He loses that fight, and then now he has to fight way down fighting a guy like Benoit Saint Denis. I think you should be rewarded for that as well. The same way that Sean Strickland was rewarded by beating Abu Magomedov, a fight where he didn't have much of upside, and him earning a title shot, things like that. Like, I don't mind that if someone is sort of doing the promotion a favor, because I'm sure Dustin Poirier didn't want to fight Benoit Saint Denis, right? Just because there's not a lot of upside there as well. So there's that. And yeah, the other thing is it'll be entertaining. Poirier's never been in a boring fight. I don't think he's ever been accused of stalling or laying praying or anything like that. And it would be like a fun challenge to Islam. And there's also some history with obviously Poirier getting to fight. He fought Khabib, right? Yes, he did. He lost in the third round. Okay, I was just making sure. Sometimes I get contenders mixed up. But yeah, so there's that history between Poirier and Khabib Nurmagomedov, who's a training partner and mentor to Islam Makhachev. Okay, now let's look at the other side of this thing and why this could not be a good fight. Because I want to be, impartial here, right? I want to kind of let you guys decide in the comments how you feel about this. Okay, so the bad side here is if you're Justin Gaethje, you got to be livid, okay? I've mentioned this before. They did not need to do that BMF title fight with Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway. Let's have a look at Gaethje here real quick. They just didn't need to do it. And it looks even worse now that the guy that Gaethje beat in his last fight, he knocked out in the second round, may be getting a title shot over him. That's crazy. That's absolute insanity in my opinion. And I've said this before. I have no issues with Gaethje and Holloway fighting each other. I think it's going to be a fun fight. But for both fighters, it makes zero sense. Like, if they didn't do this fight, Gaethje could be fighting Islam right now. Holloway could be fighting Poirier. But we're not doing that. We're doing this pointless BMF placeholder belt fight at UFC 300. I just don't understand that. So there's that as well. And, I don't care if people call me biased, whatever. This is a bad look on his manager. Islam's manager is the same manager as Gaethje, and now he's not getting the shot. He was sort of forced into taking this fight with Holloway, I guess. I don't know the optics there. And, he sees his other client, who's the UFC champion, Islam, fighting another guy who he beat. That's a bad look. I'm sorry, it is. There's no questions about it. So that's sort of the other side of it as well, too. The other thing is Dana White saying that the winner of Charles Oliveira and, let me just bring up that fight, Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan is supposed to get the next title shot, right? Dana said that. I guess that technically could still take place. If you look at that fight in terms of, they could fight the winner of this potential Dustin and Islam fight, but they might have to wait around even longer. Like, who knows? So, that's another sort of bad look here. Dana says, no matter what, Oliveira, Arman getting the next title shot. Well, if Dustin fights, then it kind of throws that out the window. And look, Dana White's been wrong about a lot of things, has said a lot of things that haven't come to fruition. I'm well aware of that, but I'm just saying that that's another sort of negative to this fight as well. And then here's sort of a dumb one that I could see fans saying, I don't believe in this whatsoever, but there'll be fans who say this. There will be fans that say that Islam's not fighting the best because, again, Gaethje, Oliveira, Arman, they're technically ahead of Poirier at this point. So if Islam's fighting a guy in Poirier who just 2 fights ago was knocked out, people will then say he's not fighting the best competition. And let's go back even further to him fighting the 2 fights against Volk. He hasn't fought a real lightweight, all these things. Like, I don't believe in that at all. I don't even have like a thought that goes in my head that says that that's even something, like it's a thing. But I bring it up because I know how dumb fans will be. And this is the type of stuff they'll say. So that's just another reason why I could see people being not down with this fight. So that's kind of where I lie on this. Now, my final verdict on this is just do the fight. I think it makes sense. I want to see Islam very active. One of the big criticisms of Muslim fighters is that they won't fight during Ramadan, which again, I understand people have their own, thing and things that they deal with in their personal lives. I have a lot of respect for that. And I get them not wanting to fight, but that does kind of break up the calendar of what the UFC is trying to do, because basically the UFC makes the cards and then they fill them up. So it's like the UFC has their own schedule and the fighters sort of have to fit into it. I think with a lot of the Muslim fighters, they're kind of, they not having that time, during Ramadan where they don't want to train or anything like that. I know some do, but a lot of them don't. It's, it can impact their careers. They're maybe not fighting as much as they can. And then the other side of this is that they always save a lot of the Muslim fighters for the Middle Eastern cards, and those are on specific dates. So again, it messes everything up. Like, this wouldn't even be a thing if the UFC wanted to put Islam on like International Fight Week. The idea here is they want to put him on the Middle Eastern card, the fight night, which again, I still find kind of weird that they would even do that. Like, let me jump back here. So that fight night card is on June 22nd. I think that's what Islam's referring to. There is a pay-per-view at UFC 302 with no location added. I don't think it's that one. And then they also are going to do International Fight Week on UFC 303. I personally would like to see that on there. That's such a big fight. Why not do that on International Fight Week? But again, they're using a lot of the Muslim fighters for the Middle Eastern card. So I can understand them wanting to do that. And having Islam headline that card, because obviously there's going to be a lot of interest, a lot of Muslims fans there that would want to see that as well. But again, I think this hurts the Muslim fighters as well, because if they're always assigning them to specific cards, this kind of puts a wrench in potential matchups. You know what I mean? If you had more flexibility, that's kind of what I'm getting at. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you want to see this fight happen? I chalk this up as the same sort of thing of what I just did in my last video with Steve Ursig, where timing is everything. Poirier has good timing right now. It makes sense. So I think with what Poirier's done with the UFC, give him the shot. Does he deserve it? No. I think he would need 2 wins since losing to Gaethje to earn himself another title shot. And he's had opportunities before, but again, timing is everything. And, you know, the UFC has their cards. They have to fill them up. They have to go that way. As far as a quick pick, I like Islam all day in this fight. I think he wins second round submission. I'll be doing an early look preview on this if this fight does come to fruition. But don't be surprised if this fight ends up getting put together, because I just don't really see what else they're going to do. Oliveira and Arman won't be ready. Holloway and Gaethje won't be ready. Holloway and Gaethje won't be ready. Well, mainly Gaethje. I don't think Holloway would get a title shot after beating Gaethje. You never know, though. So that's kind of where I think this does make a lot of sense. And then you can give Oliveira, Arman, or maybe Gaethje the winner of that fight, of the winner of the potential Islam and Dustin fight. So that's where I stand on it. Again, timing is everything, and that's what this boils down to. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at Lynch on Sports. I think I repeated that, but either way, follow me on all those platforms. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. I'm James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.